You want to talk about a snub? Peter Farrelly's Fever Pitch didn't get nominated for anything. This is Corey, and this is the Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 255 of the O The Anthem podcast, coming to you from the hashtag OTA LA studios, high above the 110 freeway in beautiful downtown Los Angeles, California. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for subscribing and liking and rating and doing all the things that you can do on podcast apps of your choice, all of them which are appreciated by us.
Of course, and you can find more O The Anthem at O The Anthem on Twitter and Instagram. You are watching right now at facebook.com/O The Anthem, where you can find tons of stuff from us. And of course, finally, you can find us on youtube.com/O The Anthem, where you find all the videos, not just of the podcast, but of all kinds of stuff, in addition to OTheAnthem.com. Just basically O The Anthem everywhere.
Yeah.
I have influenced you at least to do cross-branding in the right way everywhere.
Yeah.
Not for yourself, but at least for the podcast. That's good.
Yes, very true.
And we would be remiss, of course, we're coming to you live from the hashtag OTLS studios, but we are joined by a very special guest this week.
Yes.
Live and in person rather than by video recording. All the way from New York, New York. Hello, Jim. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, hey. How's it going? Nice to be here, guys.
We've put you in a box.
Thank you for having me.
You're like Gwyneth.
I'm oh, too soon. Maybe. I mean, who? Yeah. It just occurred to me, who put her in that box? Kevin Spacey or Harvey Weinstein? That's the real question.
Yeah, that's true. Either way, it didn't. It's not
it didn't work. I guess Kevin Spacey. Anyway, I'm gonna let that go. Sorry. Hi, I'm Jim here from my kitchen. How's it going?
Jim, high school buddy of mine, and then college buddy of Rob's by association.
Yeah, sure. You know.
Okay.
But Jim is the man for us with movie reviews.
Well, first of all, he is the first director. For the first man who ever directed me on film. So I
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, cool. No. And then, 2 or 3 times on that black couch, we moved on to his short film for his film school project. That was really great.
Yeah. We should do an O The Anthem just about the making of that thing. Anyway,
I'll tell you what. I don't remember much. I just remember standing outside smoking a cigarette, going like, "I swear to God, smoking in New York City is better than smoking anywhere else." And like, I went on like this huge diatribe of like.
Yeah, I remember this a little bit, and we were looking at you like, "What?" Okay.
It's like the air is thicker; it's more conducive for the smoke.
I remember being 18. That's what I remember. Nothing hurt. Everything was awesome. Smoking cigarettes, like I'll live forever.
That was a funny. I actually got all the rights to the music in that. That's a whole thing.
Nice.
Like I literally only for. Because YouTube wasn't a thing, only for playing, like in class and in film festivals. And then I put it on YouTube, and I think I got a copyright thing.
Yeah, whatever.
Because I couldn't reuse my emails from 2002 to fight YouTube. So,
I make a living making those very things. So there you go. It's a thing that happens. Sorry.
Wait, making copyright claims?
Yeah. No, my company is a huge thing that is we make copyright claims.
Yeah,
so.
Jim, you didn't know Rob is the devil?
Yeah, basically.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but on the plus side, when you make an appeal, I'm also one of the people who hears it. So, mixed bag. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, that's good.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, last night we had the 91st Annual Academy Awards.
We did.
I figured, seeing as we're all movie people here, we would talk about it and break down the happenings.
Yes.
Before we get too deep into it, I think the one thing that was like sort of most talked about prior to the show beginning, which is how the show did without a host.
Yes.
Jim, do you have any particular feelings on the hostless Oscars this year?
I mean, I was worried beforehand, and I know they really tried to get it. They really did try to get a host. They actually tried The Rock was their first choice, and that didn't work out. I read this late. It was a Hollywood Reporter thing the past week, but I think it worked really well because the focus was actually on the awards, and the more I thought about it, that's the thing that's going to be talked about in 20 years when people look back on it, is the awards, not some comedians, little sketch about having normal people meet movie stars thing, you know what I mean? And I think that was like a pro. Like it went by, it was breezy, which is weird. I was like, what happened to these stodgy 17-hour Oscars I used to? Like this is, I mean, and it only went over 3 hours a little bit. They minimized it. There was an interview with one of the producers, and they said, they basically said, this will not be under 3 hours. We've given up.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
basically the thing.
As soon as they said they couldn't cut out cinematography and editing and live action short and
What are you going to do?
makeup and hair.
We have to give all the awards out? Oh, man. I mean...
I
I
mean,
think
there's
they
ways.
should have just told the makeup and hair people like they were on thin ice. They were this close from getting cut, and to make sure that their speech was compelling enough to be worthy of the stage.
The funny thing is like the shorts category, I heard more people talk about like we can't do the shorts anymore, and each of them were compelling in each of their speeches, which was funny because I was so anti having the shorts anymore at this point. I was like, come on, let's just like get them out of the main show. But the show went by so nicely. I'm sort of like, I don't know, I'm okay with things. We still need a best stunts. I think that's the biggest problem, and not just because, by the way, that people. Well, there's two reasons. I'm sorry, I'm diverging. So much.
No, go ahead.
But there's two reasons we should have best stunts. One is the obvious: people kill themselves, and that's, they do a lot to do those amazing stunts. But also because if you talk to anyone about movies, who like a normal Joe Schmo, whatever, they love stunts. Like people like hearing about Tom Cruise doing the Mission Impossible stuff. They love talking about that. And like part of the Oscars and what I learned from like people getting so upset that they're going to change it, gave me time to talk to people about what they liked about it. And it seemed to be a lot of people learn about how filmmaking's done from the Oscars. And I think people want to know about stunts and they're interested in it. And you also, well, I guess this is a third thing, is you'd be awarding movies people had seen. And so it would give people an extra incentive to watch the Oscars. Like I'm using Mission Impossible because it had really great stunts. But that newest one, like a lot of people saw that. And if you are like, oh, I already like Black Panther. I saw Star is Born and Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm pretending I'm Joe Schmo, average moviegoer. And then it's like and then I saw all these things that had stunts in it, so I'm gonna watch the Oscars this year. This sounds cool. So I think that's a category they just need to do, and it would be an easy thing, and it would respect a lot of people who need that kind of more exposure and all that. So that's the one thing. But anyway,
it's kind of a way to sneak in that, like, what was the category they tried to get in this year?
Oh,
popular film.
Most popular film.
Yeah, like because you kind of sneak it in, right? Like you get like a Fast and the Furious, you get a Mission Impossible on the stage there.
Yes. I mean, no, I agree. And the popular thing was such a dumb idea. It didn't work also because Marvel was already launching a campaign for Black Panther, and that was, at least in America, the most popular film of the year. So it was not going to work. Although I agree with the idea of most popular film in that I think whatever the highest grossing film is, the Oscars should have to nominate it for Best Picture as like this is what Hollywood is. You have to fucking deal with it. I think I've said this to you guys before, but I wish they would do that because then they would be like, they couldn't do those speeches they usually do, go, Hollywood's more than superhero movies. And I kind of want to be like, bullshit, guys. I read movie news year round, and I don't hear shit about any of these movies until like the Oscars. Like it's all about Marvel and DC and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So you should have to deal with what you are. I think that should be their penance. Like I'm not saying they all have to be popular movies. I think it's whatever the most popular domestic is, and if international is different, that gets nominated too, and they have to just like roll their eyes through the whole thing if they hate it. So. Anyway.
The other thing I've been thinking more and more about is I think it would be fun to just sort of have name nominees for awards within awards. So like take a hair and makeup. Hair and makeup are two very different things, but they're lumped into the same award. So
yes,
have a hair Oscar, a makeup Oscar, a special effects makeup Oscar, like divide the categories a little bit and give like minor Oscars and then the top 5 of the people who were nominated for the specialty Oscars go on to the next one.
Sure.
'Cause
So-
then
Oh,
you could
you've
say something.
I've heard you mention this idea before. No,
the best in show.
Well, no, I used to. That idea used to be more specifically about like the movies, like breaking the movies for best
No,
picture
yeah,
down into
but
subgenre. But I think even
s-
the individual awards could be brought down,
Well,
and then you can honor a whole bunch more people.
yeah, no, I will say that I think one of the things that should be done, because the main reason we're talking about ratings and all this is because the main way the Academy makes money is off the Oscars. That's like, I think it's like some over 60 percentage points of over 60% of their profits every year come from that ceremony.
Yeah.
So to me, I know they're opening that museum finally. They've been talking about that forever. But they need to do something else on TV every year to bring in revenue. And I think they should do another ceremony maybe 2 days before and get rid of, like, do some smaller stuff like that. Even do some of the science ones. The honorary things have been forgotten about. That's not part of the Oscars anymore, which I
Yeah.
really don't like. And well, the other thing about the honorary thing is Stanley Donen died over the weekend, who directed Singing in the Rain. And if you are as invested in film Twitter as I am, you saw that him winning the honorary Oscar thing from the 90s all over Twitter. And people love that clip. And I was like, you know what? Like, why don't we have that at the Oscars anymore? That sucks. But it kind of drags down the whole show, so why not have a thing on Friday night and do all the weirder stuff? And then, but then the other thing is, like, the Independent Spirit Awards, which happen on Saturday, get a
Right.
ton of press
Yeah.
on the red carpet, and they're number one trending on Twitter, or at least on my Twitter, which is the best Twitter. And
Wait, what's that Twitter? What is it?
it's I just meant my personal Twitter on my laptop. If you want to come to my apartment and just watch me go through Twitter. I didn't mean that wasn't a plug for my Twitter. That was a plug for the Twitter that only I see that none of you can. I'm saying that is the best Twitter. Is the one I
Go to
look at.
Jim Forrest, follow everyone he follows, and then just look at the Twitter accordingly.
Yeah. Actually, Corey's right. Just follow and
Just make a
unfollow
list
everyone.
called Jim's Twitter and put everyone on it, and then just follow
Exactly.
that from time to time.
If you follow, and then you'd be like, why does he still follow? Because I go through a lot. I'm like, who is this? Unfollowed. But so it might be hard to keep. Anyway, this is a weird conversation. But no, they should do another one, because the Independent Spirit Awards get a lot of attention, and just get like a funnier, smaller comedian host or something like that. Do a simple show. It won't bring in as much revenue, but it'll bring in something. And Friday nights, like, nothing's on anyway, except for my show, so nobody's watching that. I think there could be, or they could do things like make documentaries about how films are made, like have Scorsese do one about directing, there's so many things they could be doing, and they over rely on the ceremony, and they make it like super dumb, all the governoring and meetings they have to have about it. And they really should be diversifying, because it seems like people do take seriously like what they tell them about filmmaking. And if they said, hey, the Oscars present a 13-part series on filmmaking on Netflix, which sounds like their worst nightmare, but I think
Well, their own Netflix, their like Oscar Flix or whatever it is service that they're going to introduce to compete with.
I've heard about this, yeah. But I mean, they could do something like that, and I think people would be down for it. I just think they need to diversify their revenue, because it seems like they have so much on this award show, and like, I don't know if they've heard, but TV's kind of like not on the best shape right now. So I think they need to like figure something out before, like, they're like, wait, how much do YouTube ads make? Oh shit, and like, that's not really going to go well for them.
Well, I mean, like, I remember I was watching leading up to the Oscars, the Academy's social media team gets a little bit better on Facebook, and I remember I was watching like videos about like it looked like what was going to be intros to the show, and it was like giving sort of like a brief description of what each job was in the form of like things happening on set kind of thing. And it was really cool, and it was really stylish, and I'm just like, oh wow, this is how they're going to bring up set dressing when it happens, and I'm going to be really excited.
No.
But no, none of that none of that ever happens. I feel like the Academy really needs to obviously Rob and I are really big into sports. Jim's a much bigger sports fan than any of us combined.
Huge sports fan.
Yeah,
But,
I'm just like I'm like the ESPN zone in Harbor Place right here.
But
There's like 4 people listening who got that. So thank you, 4 people.
Wait, you're like the ESPN zone in Harbor Place, meaning that you're now a Hard Rock Cafe and that you don't exist anymore?
Whoa.
Oh wait, no, Phillips Crab House.
Phillips Crab.
You're now a Phillips Crab House.
I'm so confused. What?
No, but part of
Wait, ESPN's is not still there?
No.
hasn't been there for a while.
No, I'm joking. Sorry.
Jim doesn't get back very often.
No, my parents. Anyway, I'm not. Whatever. Sorry. Let's keep going.
What I was going to say is that I feel like they are losing their opportunity to treat movies like sports, which is people will spend an entire day afterwards talking about what happened in the latest, in the big game of the week for whatever sport it may be. There's an NFL network because they spend so much time talking about football. There's an MLB network because they spend so much time talking about baseball. There's no reason why the Academy can't do something where it's just like the life of Chaplin and that sort of thing.
I mean, and there are plenty of those things.
The problem. I mean, I will say that the difference between the making documentaries about film or doing like film or movie review punditry, as it's called, I guess, is that there's really just not as many opportunities. As someone who tries to do it, it's like you really are like pushing. It's like a Sisyphus sort of situation. You know what I mean? And I think with sports there seems to be lots of opportunities for that, but it's just like movies. There's only a few people who are really popular at it to do something, which is unfortunate. But I wish it wasn't that way. But it is. So I would like them to do more stuff. I think that's a good idea. I think that would be cool to have like a show like on ABC that's like, hey, the Oscars present what was big at the box office, and How to Train Your Dragon did a really good actually ad campaign and had its biggest debut ever. I would love to, you know what I mean? Which is getting ignored because of the Oscars also.
Right.
But that's a whole other thing. But I think
it's not too early to prepare for the 2020 Oscars. So.
I saw somebody put a tweet like worst case scenario for 2020 Oscars. Taron Egerton wins for Elton John. Cats wins Best Picture.
Oh, God.
Which I was like, I kind of see that happening right now. Oh.
If Cats wins, though, really.
Because Cats starring Taylor Swift, which is a real movie coming out this Christmas, is coming at you. So,
Jim,
that sounds like Corey's worst nightmare.
The face I'm making right now is the face of me hearing this information in real time. Like
wait. Actually,
did you not know about the Cats movie?
No, I wasn't prepared for this moment. I thought that was
Hold
a joke.
on, I want to look up Cats movie and just read the cast and information about it to Corey, and that can just be this whole podcast because that would be really funny to me.
Well, the look of horror in his face.
If you want to pull it up for later, that's fine. But we should probably get to the actual awards.
No, wait, hang on. He got it. Hey, what is the top billing 5 cast for this Cats debut?
Well, funny you should say it. It's directed by amazing director Tom Hooper, who directed such... I'm sorry.
Corey just looks like he is just in a fit right now.
Tom Hooper, who directed such amazing films as Les Miserables, and it stars James Corden, Taylor Swift, Idris Elba. What are you doing here? Judi Dench, Ian McKellen. Oh my God!
How did they get some of these casts?
Jennifer Hudson's in there. Taylor Swift's character is
maybe they got Idris Elba saying that he's going to play the Black Panther, and then he was just like, "Oh yeah, I'll sign up for that. I'd love to be Black Panther."
Cats. It's Cats.
Shows up to the first day of set on Cats. And he's like, "I've been had."
There's an actual character called Rum Tum Tugger.
I know.
Have you ever seen Cats?
The Cats' names are all dumb.
You live in New York. You haven't seen Cats?
Oh no, I haven't. No, I mean I have cats, so I don't need to see a musical about cats.
All I can think of now is the Critic episode where the flaming bus goes into the Cats auditorium, and it's just like, and nothing of value was lost.
I mean, I don't know anything about it other than I made a really good joke at like a Christmas party my parents were at in front of a bunch of parents about Cats by just meow singing a cat song, and everyone thought it was really funny. So that's as much as I know about cats. I can make a good cats joke.
We have argued long and hard that sometimes the Academy just cannot help themselves.
Yeah.
And like if if this was Fiddler on the Roof, it would definitely win the Oscar next year. And Cats is one of those that like maybe they can't help themselves.
I mean, we'll see. The thing is with Oscar stuff is you really never know what the year is going to shake up. I mean, I don't think, for example, one of the kind of surprise winners kind of factors into why Green Book won, and that's First Man.
Yeah.
Because First Man was Universal's Oscar movie. They were like, we're doing First Man. Damien Chazelle, he won for La La Land. We're going to have a huge...
And Whiplash.
You know what I mean?
And was nominated for Whiplash.
Well, one was... Yeah, but I mean...
He was
they were
2 for
like,
2 on his feature debuts.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think he had one before that, but... nobody counts that one, but some Rachel and somebody on a bench or something like that. I don't know, but like they
I'll have to go find it.
They had a bunch of money behind First Man. They were like, "This is the Oscar movie," and it became really clear after opening that is not happening.
Yeah.
So I think when that fell apart, they put all that Oscar campaigning into Green Book, and that's really what shifted the award show. Because I think if this was last year, and I was like, oh yeah, First Man's going to be up for stuff, and I don't think First Man's a bad movie, but I think First Man's biggest problem was Damien Chazelle has no auteur voice when it comes to his movies, and that's not to say he doesn't have a voice as a director. It's just that I can find no through line between those movies other than determined white dudes things.
Yeah, they're very.
It's like, I don't know, if I wanted to do a parody of a Damien Chazelle movie, like, what would I pick? Like, I would probably have to pick La La Land so you'd get the joke.
Oh, no.
But that wouldn't be him, you know what I mean?
The Matt Damon biopic, how a guy from South Boston becomes a star in Hollywood. That is the Damien Chazelle mockumentary movie.
Is he from Massachusetts?
Matt Damon?
Oh, no.
Matt Damon. The Matt Damon biopic is the one where I'm like, if I'm making fun of a Damien Chazelle movie, I go with the Matt Damon biopic. Because it's like, white guy who kind of is privileged, but he had such a hard life, and he needs to do something important, and really he just laid on the couch at his buddy's house while they wrote a script together.
Man, you are turning around the history of...
oh, wait, no, it was the opposite.
Yes.
Ben Affleck was the lazy one.
Well, that was the rumor.
Yeah.
That was the rumor, but I think knowing what Ben Affleck is a screenwriter, I think basically they all wrote their own lines, and Ben Affleck just isn't in it a lot. That's honestly, because they both get like killer monologues in that movie. Like, I think last time I watched it, I was like, man, like, that scene, like that memorable Ben Affleck scene where he talks about like, one day I'm gonna come to your house and you're not gonna be there, and I'm gonna be happy because you're something and I'm a piece of shit. I'm Ben Affleck, and that was word for word, by the way.
Such a spot on Ben Affleck impression.
Ben Affleck from Queens. Hey, I'm making Argo. Get on my face.
I got some people to save.
Hey, look, I used to be Batman, and then I was like, forget about it. Sorry.
Affleck from New York.
All
right.
Oh, yeah. Actually, he would be offended by that because, he refused to wear a Yankees hat in Gone Girl.
Yeah.
That was his...
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's that scene, that shot where he's wearing I think he wears a Mets hat or something, right?
Every man's got a code he's got to live by. But no.
I can't wear a Yankees hat either. My dad would kill me.
Right.
Yeah.
But so, as far as First Man,
it makes it really difficult for Jim because he has trouble telling the teams apart.
Well,
he sees all the NY logos, so he doesn't know which one to go with.
Trust me, I know.
You've become made aware of the Yankees.
I know what the enemy looks like. I'm not gonna fuck with it. He'll find out. It's not gonna happen.
So back to First Man.
Yeah,
I saw the movie and I loved it, but I think I had the same opinion that you did, which is just like, it's not like an Oscar winner though. I like the story. It just didn't really have anything impressive.
I think he made a good Neil Armstrong, right? It was Neil Armstrong.
Yes, Neil Armstrong. Yeah.
He made a great Neil Armstrong movie, but the problem is Neil Armstrong himself isn't like he isn't like what I think people want him to be. He's like this cold, chilly guy. And I think he made a good movie. It's an interesting movie. I have one like major qualm with it, which is immediately I went, oh, he doesn't have kids. I like immediately knew it when he was doing this whole thing about kids. I was like I know he doesn't have kids because not that he doesn't mourn his daughter correctly or something, but the major problem is like he ignores his other kids. He's just like, yeah, I don't know. Now that my daughter's dead, you basically are nothing to me, and like I knew that was. I'm like, that's not. No parent would do that. Yeah. And there's like one of his sons in there, like you kind of forget about through part of the movie, and then they show up again. You're like, oh right, he has like two of them. Okay, yeah. It's like that. That was like my only problem is like I think that's something you can ignore. I think, and I still like what he did, and I think Damien Chazelle had something to prove because he's like going up against Moonlight. Moonlight's like one of the big masterpieces of our time, and he has, you know, fun little dance movie, and he probably feels sort of stupid about it, and he doesn't. Not that I think La La Land, you know, I don't hate it as much as most people, but I think he probably recognized he was not coming off great, and he wanted to make a big auteur kind of big statement, and he did that, but it's too chilly, and Gosling did what Gosling does, and that kind of Gosling performance is like not fun, you know.
Yeah,
it's like
I mean, like the one I said in my review was that sometimes it seems like either you have Gosling's good stuff or you don't, and for whatever reason in this movie, it just didn't seem like he was like clicking right with it.
I mean,
I kept saying like the one I came up with just looking at a picture of Neil Armstrong was like I need Jesse Plemons in this movie. Because he's going to figure out a way to make this incredible.
No, Jesse Plemons would have made it huge, but the problem is, or Jesse Plemons would have made it phenomenal. But I think because of the budget, I'm sure they probably went, you have to have a movie star.
Oh, like, you need
someone who could. Although Ryan Gosling, like he is someone that people know, but he's not a box office star. He can't open a movie, right. So I don't think that was. I think there was a little bit Hollywood was like, oh, he's taking paychecks, so we're going to let him be in Blade Runner and stuff. But he doesn't really have a following who wants to see those kind of movies, so I don't think it. But I think Jesse Plemons would have done. Jesse Plemons would have been able to do the kind of darker, more kind of sadder stuff as well as be fun. Yeah. And Gosling just, I don't know. I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's really interesting, and that stuff on the moon is like seriously phenomenal.
Yes. Oh yeah, I mean,
if he didn't nail that movie wouldn't work at all, and he definitely did a really good job with the moon stuff.
Well, let's
sorry,
transition.
Not that we went on. I'm like diverting this a lot.
We're talking about non-winners. But I mean, again, I think if we were sitting here,
well, they won visual effects.
You did win visual effects, yeah.
So we're like sort of on point. Yeah.
If we were sitting here, like you said, a year ago, I think looking at the slate of what's coming, First Man, I would have said, wait, you have Damien Chazelle coming back.
Yeah,
he's got a big blockbuster movie. It's going to be huge. Like Ryan Gosling, my inkling was Damien is looking for his Johnny Depp. He's Tim Burton looking for his Johnny Depp, and he feels like Ryan could be that guy. And so I had you in La La Land. I'm going to put you in First Man, but then stinker. I enjoyed the movie, but it certainly wasn't that.
Well, and, you know what? It also didn't connect with older audiences, which I think is a problem for a movie whose main protagonist is something that the baby boomers have looked up to. And there are certain movies like I thought it would perform well week 3 and week 4 because that's actually what happened with. This is way off topic, I'm sorry. The Tarzan movie appealed to baby boomers really well. Like, if you look at the box office, it was, like, sticking around forever. And it's because baby boomers were seeing it. And they see movies 3-4 weeks out. Like, we're younger, so we don't really do that as often in large numbers. And I think that could have worked for them. But since the baby boomers heard it wasn't, like, American enough or whatever, that whole controversy.
I also think that Fox News did have a huge part to play in that. Just like the people who were that baby boomer generation was watching Fox News when they were spending 2 weeks talking about like Damien Chazelle hates America and
it's that, and they didn't sell it as they sold it as this is First Man, this is Ryan Gosling, Damien Chazelle. They should have gone big letters Neil Armstrong.
Yep. Yeah.
Like that's, and it wasn't like oftentimes I'd watch a trailer and I'd go, wait, this is the Neil Armstrong one? Is it like another guy or something? Like it should have been like he's like one of the most important people in like the history of humanity. Like it's like we need to put him as the selling point. Like,
To be fair, though, the Best Picture winner did the opposite. They said this is the Viggo Mortensen, Mahershala Ali.
But that guy, no one's going to see the Don Shirley and random Italian dude movie. Come on. Like, this is the difference. Like, you have a guy who did something that, like, forever humanity's going to be like, remember when we went to the moon? No one's going to forever be like, remember when that Italian guy drew that black guy through the South that one time? Like,
listen, I remember. All right, Pepperidge Farm remembers. So that's enough for me.
That's a nice metaphor for what happened.
Now that we're getting into to Green Book here,
okay.
I'd like to put out a statement.
Okay.
And that is, I think that Green Book winning Best Picture was the worst thing that could ever happen to Green Book. Because it was
winning Best Picture.
It was a perfectly fine movie that a lot of people really enjoyed. It wasn't cinematically at like another level, but the fact that it wasn't cinematically at the other level gave everyone the opportunity of, like, when it was announced as Best Picture, people lose their shit and they're just like, well, what about these other 5 movies that I saw that I like so much more?
Oh wait, you mean people like Jim, who's here on the podcast with us?
I mean, I think the problem with Green Book is the biggest problem with it is it's a film about black identity directed by Peter Farrelly, and that's just not something. And it's not just that it's a film, because we've had films like In the Heat of the Night. I was thinking about this today.
Yeah.
Why did In the Heat of the Night, that gets hailed as a classic, and everyone's fine with it, and Green Book is not going to get that acclaim ever. And there's a specific reason, is because In the Heat of the Night hints at those sort of things. Same with like All in the Family in the 70s. It talks about those things, but it's not a white guy telling the story of black identity.
Right.
And that's the problem with Green Book. And it reeks of it of being inauthentic. And especially in the same year, you have things like Beale Street, which is amazing at that, and it's just a wonderful movie. And you're having a do the right thing, driving Miss Daisy sort of situation yet again. And I think that doesn't play into what the Academy wants to be, what Hollywood wants to be, and so forth. I don't think, and I also think it's a little like, it's trying to be a drama in 1990, and I don't think that's a proud period in cinema, really. It's like just trying to overbear in its schmaltz and all this stuff. Viggo and Mahershala were amazing.
Yes.
Are great actors and made that movie a lot more tolerable than it had any
Linda
right to be.
Cardellini too was really good in that as well.
No, she's not in it very much, but I genuinely like her. And even in Gravity Falls, I don't know if you guys ever watched that show, but she's great as a voice actress as well.
That's the animated one, right? Yeah,
she's
in the
very
same
good.
universe with Dan Harmon's stuff.
Oh yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, sort of.
Hey, in
Disney
in one episode of Rick and Morty, the things from Gravity Falls come out of the portal. That means they're in the same universe.
That is true. But
the things you learn on this podcast, Corey. I have no idea.
I just think the problem with it is, we could have had a year where the first foreign language film won Best Picture.
Yeah.
And instead we had Green Book, and I think that's a sting that's not gonna. I think that's something that's going to sting a lot of people, because we had a year that, like, we had 2 foreign film Best Director nominees. We had Cold War getting, or actually 3 of the cinematography nominations were foreign films.
Yeah.
Although one of those was I should note, was a American cinematographer.
Caleb Deschanel.
Caleb Deschanel, yeah, which I was like, wait, who is the guy who shot this? I'm like, oh, Caleb Deschanel. Never mind. I know how he got nominated. I think it was showing that, like, the Academy, when the nominations came out, everyone was saying, this new voting block is so much more into international kind of stuff and film festival things. And I think everyone thought, oh, Roma's going to take it, and, this is going to be the future, and it's going to show, like, Netflix and streaming is happening, and Netflix just got put into the Motion Picture Association right when nominations came out, and that seemed to be the narrative. And to see that halted, I mean, I don't want to do it's like Trump winning sort of thing, because I don't think it's that bad, and I think that's an inappropriate statement. But I understand the kind of the idea of that, but I don't agree with that analogy.
Well, I mean, if someone were to make the analogy of it like being like Trump winning, I think the way that you would get in with it is by sort of talking about the preferential ballot and how clearly that had like the impacts of other people not voting and how they did in their states affected my state and like affected.
Well, I think the thing that bothers me about the Green Book thing happening with the preferential ballot is that to really win, you have to have over 50% have to have it in your top 5,
right?
Basically, and to me, I was like, so you're telling me that like over 50% of Hollywood had that in their top 5? I was like, man, Hollywood's really fucked if that's the case, because that's like real bad. I was just like, I was disappointed by that. Because that was Green Book had such divisive opinions that I thought, oh, there's no way, because it'll be too extreme and it won't win the preferential ballots. That's why, like, I mean, Corey mentioned in the predictions the PGA win, and I thought because PGA
they
is
won
not
Golden
preferential.
Globes too.
Or did it win PGA or Gold? It won something.
Yeah,
I thought,
it won a bunch of leading up to the Oscars.
But like all those other things, and even all the other Oscar categories are done by popular vote.
Right.
Whereas Best Picture is this weirder thing, which they really should not do. I don't like it. But I wish they would do just a popular vote, because I think that would be... It's just sort of a weird ending kind of extra rule. You know, it's like kind of messes with things. But I guess enough people were just like chill with Green Book. I find that to be really weird. Like you have a year like Star is Born or Black Panther, films that everybody's likes. And I didn't think that would have been one. So
I do kind of feel like that with Roma being, to me, it sort of felt like a Roma v. Green Book going in a little bit. Even though there were other films, obviously, that could have won Best Picture, those two seem to stick out the most to me, and it almost to an extent seems like the voting body of the Academy, which is very like half old Academy and half new Academy, is like basically said not on my watch with Netflix. Like it seems like. There seemed to be like an idea of like, hey, listen, we're all going to vote for a studio picture. We're not going to have them cannibalize our anti-Netflix vote. So,
the thing with that I find weird is that you have we don't have big dramas with movie stars that open anymore. I think we can. That's something I know Corey's complained about before. That we don't have. Sorry, I'm not trying to pick on Corey. I'm just
no, he's right.
Trying to tie it into stuff, but like we want big dramas that open big, like what Star is Born did, you know what I mean? And became a hit and everybody saw it. And we don't have movies like that anymore. And I would have thought, if I'm an Oscar person, I'm like, I want old Hollywood back. I'm sick of these superhero movies and big blockbusters. I would go Star is Born, because that has a movie star. It had the studio behind it. You know, the whole time, like Green Book kind of just happened because they're like, oh shit, what else we got? Like Star is Born was something like that's even though it's a remake, it's not that big of a franchise that I think I'm a big William Wellman fan who directed the original, but I know there's not a lot of us out there, so it's not like there was like a big line for that.
Right.
So it's like it was sold on Bradley Cooper and this drama, so I would have thought that would be what they go to, but for some reason they ended up not digging Star is Born as much. But I don't think Star is Born's perfect by any means.
No, but, a movie like Star is Born, if we saw it when we were, if this was 1994 or something like that and we saw it, then I think that we would all have a way different opinion of it than we do now. I think generally speaking, people like it. I think today's
100%.
culture makes it so hard to like be emphatically for something, because like you will watch one review where somebody's just like, Star is Born is the biggest piece of shit movie I've ever seen, and they'll name their like 5 gripes with it, and then it's hard for you as like the person who just liked the movie that you saw that somebody just tore apart to go like, no, I disagree with this guy on a fundamental level, and those 5 things that like it becomes very there's never been more opportunity to hear the things that people didn't like about a movie than now. And it makes it tough to navigate that space as far as like what should win, because most people liked it, I
mean, that's true. I think, and that got really bad last year with Last Jedi, especially. But because it gets like, I don't even want to talk about that movie. Well, to certain people, but
Corey's never seen it. So
no, but I mean, like, it got personal for actors and stuff like that, and people getting threatened online, and that shit's just ridiculous. There's no reason for that.
It went too far, and I, to be honest, don't even understand the negative point of view with that movie, but because it doesn't. it's a lot of people who are very ill-informed on film history and how Star Wars works. But regardless of that, I do agree that becomes a problem. But I think I don't know. I think Star is Born, or even a film that didn't get any nominations, Widows, were movies that were like studios believed in them. They were personal, artier kind of things, and I think Oscars probably. I don't know, if they were really against Netflix, I sort of think the anti-Netflix narrative is a small part of it. I think it's also like to get these people who like vote for like Spotlight and Birdman and Argo, you know what I mean, to like sit down and like be cool with a foreign film, I think might have been maybe too much. I think we're asking too much of these people.
Too soon.
You know what I mean?
Another 10 years when we are 40 and the average voter is, from was born in the 70s, I guess.
Yeah.
Then I think that you get a better shot of like that in between generation. But right now, it's probably still too many older people. You know?
Like the fact that people are in the academy for life, essentially, unless you're Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They could have. I just don't think they're not like cinephiles. They're just like they like movies, but like. To me, like, when Other Side of the Wind wasn't nominated, I was like, okay, well, it doesn't change that much, because to me, I would have nominated that thing out the wazoo, because Orson Welles is back. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think what works for Netflix got so much support from, I'm on like a million cinephile Facebook things, and when Other Side of the Wind came out, it was like Infinity War for really dorky people. And, all of them were saying, I can't believe Netflix did this. Like, they put their money where their mouth is. They supported a film that none of us thought would ever happen. And with Roma, I saw a lot of them, again, supporting them because they're like, hey, they made Other Side of the Wind. I'll meet you halfway here. And they made a Quran movie. And I think there was this narrative with streaming services, and Amazon Prime used to do it, particularly with Woody Allen, and we know how that went, of embracing auteurs and being like, these auteurs will give us awards and stuff. And Amazon, it sort of worked with Manchester by the Sea, but it seems like they've even abandoned this idea. And I think Netflix pushed it like literally so far, but they pushed it in this interesting cinephile way, but I don't think there's not much ways you can take that, because winning my respect and like a bunch of movie dorks is cool, but I don't think we helped, and that was my biggest snub, by the way. Well, I think Other Side of the Wind, but
another thing you have to consider too with just the voting body of the Academy too, is that these are people who are working in film, so how much they get to actually see all the movies that come out is another thing. And I mean, you get screeners and stuff like that, but like I really do think that Glenn Close didn't win because nobody saw.
Yeah.
Well, no, that was, I was reading, it might have been Hollywood Reporter, I forget which one. They said that the problem is you have people who are in the prime of their professional career. They only have a certain amount of movies to watch, and I go, oh, watch The Favorite, because that's nominated for all these things, you know what I mean? But like to watch Glenn Close in this one movie, I don't know.
Just for her to determine whether or not she's the best actress.
And they might not. I kind of think with Glenn Close, sadly, it's like she should have probably... If she didn't win for Fatal Attraction, I sort of didn't... I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. And because she needs to do something showy at this point for them. You really have to, like, make this, like, do this big grand gesture. And I think The Wife had the Me Too thing behind it. It had certain things behind it. But it was just underseen. And when you have these people who have to pick which ones to watch, they're going to watch Vice over The Wife. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, in that case... The Favorite over The Wife, and that's why The Favorite.
To be fair, you're going to have to watch The Favorite like 4 or 5 times to even understand what the hell is going on in the movie that you're watching. So.
No, Rob hasn't seen it. I actually watched it. It's pretty straightforward. The problem,
yes.
The thing I said, the review for The Favorite, by the way, for anyone who's interested, is coming out this Thursday. A little sneak preview. I said that I think I would be more interested in sitting down and talking to Yorgos Lanthimos about why he made decisions than I am actually watching him make those decisions.
Yeah. Well, and The Lobster, I just go back to The Lobster, where like probably the second viewing of that is where I'm like, okay, some of this is starting to come together for me now. Now that it's like Fight Club. Like the second viewing's better.
He's a weird director, and I think that's probably why that film didn't win. I mean, it was kind of a surprise. But with that movie, that was maybe his most mainstream I've ever seen him. And I was a little surprised by it when I watched it. I was like, man, so are you like, it's like you sort of calmed down but sort of didn't. And it's like it's not weird like The Lobster or like a dog tooth or something, but it's still weird. It's like kind of like, it did seem like he was a little toned down in that, but he is a little strange. I will say that I don't think he tried his best to sort of break through this time, but I think he's still Yorgos Lanthimos, so he's not going to let go of that.
Well, and that's on the best actress side of things. I was surprised on the best actor side of things because I would have put money on Christian Bale in Vice to take home best actor.
Yeah,
me too, because he didn't get directed by a child molester, so I thought he had a better chance.
Also, I do think that like
don't make assumptions about Adam McKay.
Wait a second. The thoughts of Corey Baker, his alone, they are not
I like that.
For whatever reason,
or Jim, or
for whatever reason, I
them.
imagine Adam McKay would like that joke.
But no,
Would he? I wondered.
We're trying things. He seems to like trying.
Watch. This clip is going to be at the end of his next political thing to show how stupid Americans are.
Just some shitheads like
on the internet, live streaming.
It'll be us being like, it'll be like, man, Vice is so stupid, and then he'll put it anyway. Sorry.
Cut. Rob just going like, I think Cats is going to win Best Picture.
But no,
I can't wait to see Fast and Furious. It's
I
lit.
think Corey's actually said that on the podcast before. So
I'm done.
But as far as Rami Malek did really well, and I enjoyed Bohemian Rhapsody for what it was worth. It was a masturbatory picture made by the members of Queen about how great the band was and how they were best friends. It's a lot like My Little Pony, the power of friendship. Saves the day all the time.
Wow.
Right?
I was surprised out of the three of us on here, Rob was the one to do that.
I had to beat you to it. I knew you were going to go there. I had to beat you to it.
Oh, well, I was actually going to say, I'm going to take something you probably would get a reference. This is so weird that we... Anyway, I actually thought it was like Entourage in that it's like they would be like, there was no stakes to anything. Like, it was so weird. Like, all their creative decisions were like, man, we should make a song that's like this, and then they like do that, and then they all smile about it, and I was like, look, as someone who's like been in a band and stuff, it never works that way. It's like it's like a constant like, I mean, should we do this? I don't know about this line. Like, maybe, I don't know, let's come back tomorrow and workshop. It's like so much boring stuff, but it's also like stupid arguments about the dumbest crap.
You know what, Jim? You're a fraud. All right, you're a fraud, and you're not even a good writer. All right, I'm going to start my own band.
Rob, like, let's not get into our punk band arguments. Rob and I were in a punk band in Maryland. It didn't work out. I don't want to get into it.
I used to wear jack boots all the time.
It was a 2-person punk band. We only played 3 shows. We had a really good following.
And a ukulele. It was the worst punk band I've ever seen.
Power chords on the ukulele all day long.
We had some fans. But anyway... I mean, I just think the first EP was good, but the second... Anyway, Bohemian Rhapsody, it was just like... I didn't actually get to review it because I'm sort of run out of time at this point, but it's just like... It's weird to like make a Freddie Mercury movie with like no gay sex in it, and then to cover up... Like, here's the thing that I find so weird, is like the Live Aid thing... That sequence is so oddly shot. It's like if I was going to do it like this is a performance, you do a big wide shot and you really show off the physicality of like him as Freddie Mercury. But they like the camera's moving like crazy. But then that sequence, that end thing sort of works, which is like even if you don't like that movie, the Live Aid sequence works. It's like the weirdest. I don't know, like while I was watching, I'm like, this really should not work right now. But I'm so into this Live Aid thing.
Well, it looks a lot like the real Live Aid, which was shot by a bunch of guys on cocaine. So that's why it makes sense, all right? You're like, no, I feel like it's the 90s.
But you're remembering it wasn't edited by guys on cocaine.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
And
true. Yeah.
But actually, someone was telling me, I kept hearing on a podcast all the horrible things that the editor of Bohemian Rhapsody has been through while working for Bryan Singer, and it kind of made me go like, man, I kind of just want to give him best editor so he'll feel again or something. Like it's just like apparently like on Valkyrie, I heard this today that he got so many notes from so many different people, he had like a mental breakdown because like he kept getting like Bryan Singer would give him notes, Tom Cruise would give him notes, Chris McCord would give him notes, and they keep changing and rechanging things, and he just apparently working for Bryan Singer sounds like the worst.
Yeah.
So I think he was freed of Bryan Singer, and they're like, "Here's an Oscar, man. Just it's cool." Like I feel like we didn't see backstage where they hugged him, and he just like really cried too much, and it was like uncomfortable. And, like,
Just a breakdown.
I was hearing from a lot of editors who were saying a similar thing, going like, "I'm pretty sure this Oscar just goes for mental turmoil, like like emotional distress, not like even the actual keystrokes he made, you know." Like,
but Bohemian Rhapsody aside, I thought Vice, just again, maybe it's because I know Chaney better than I knew Freddie Mercury, because it's more of a man of our times, but like the way he embodied that character was, I don't know, it's amazing to me. Like when I think of guys who win Best Actor, and you like the number one in my mind is Daniel Day-Lewis, who like embodies these characters, and like that's what we know him for. I feel like in a way, and I mean, I also Christian Bale's body of work that includes things that I always refer to, like The Machinist,
Machinist,
The Machinist, and so many characters where he really gets into it. American Psycho, and he did that with this character, and then just like it's like, yo, you're 22, buddy. Just wait your turn.
Yeah.
You're going to get it, not this time.
I don't think... And his speech was so, like, meh. It's, like, the lamest of the whole night.
Yeah.
And it kind of... I've noticed that when you're a controversial Best Actor, like, same thing that happened with Casey Affleck, where it's like, I think Casey Affleck did do a good performance in that movie, but... At the same time, his speech like sucked. I was like, dude, like, could you like turn this around? So like, and a lot of people were saying like, could he have just like, I know none of them were going to acknowledge Bryan Singer, but they could have like tried to turn something around, and especially him. I feel like the editor and the sound people, it wasn't on them. It was more on Rami Malek, especially after he said that he didn't know about the Bryan Singer stuff.
Yeah,
I was like, no, dude, like, don't play it that way. Like, just like,
there's no way I know about it and Rami Malek doesn't.
Yeah.
That's. I was like, I remember it being on the cover of USA Today in 2014. So like, if he is that out of it, that's ridiculous.
Not even. Maybe it's okay that he doesn't know this, but like his agent would have to. Like,
no, his agent knew. Like,
Everyone told him.
There's no way that his agent was just like, if he comes out as news drops while you're in the middle of this movie, it could cause trouble.
I
want to play Freddie Mercury so bad though, and it's like, all right, well, do it, go with God.
I mean, he seemed to. I don't know. There's certain scenes I think he was good in, but I don't think, like, I don't know. I wouldn't have picked him personally. I think Christian Bale. It was also like Christian Bale. Like I said in the predictions thing, if he had won, he would be like on this smaller list of people who've won supporting and lead.
Yeah.
I think Christian Bale was more due. And like, Vice might be, it is a more divisive movie, especially because of the ending. And I do think there was a backlash because of the way they released Vice in a weird way, where like they wouldn't let they embargoed the reviews till the last minute, so like negative buzz wouldn't start.
Yeah.
So it sort of got over-nominated in a lot of stuff because people didn't realize like how it was perceived, which still is important. And I think like when the perception broke, it broke like a little too hard on Vice, and I think maybe that didn't help it. And also I think the Academy liked that. People really liked Bohemian Rhapsody. I think they dug that, like, hey, people like this. They kind of took the good vibes that, like, I talked about with Star is Born and just put them on Bohemian Rhapsody, which is weird. I don't really get it, but cool.
I think the to me, what separated the two was that Rami Malek was really good in Bohemian Rhapsody, but nobody else was. Like, there wasn't another actor who really rose above.
Well, I mean, except for that amazing scene from Mike Myers.
Well,
like,
yeah,
I didn't even know it was.
Obviously, I'm not even. That was a given.
We were like, wait, you're saying that is Mike Myers when he makes that very obvious reference to Wayne's World?
Yeah,
it took me. I had to re-watch that scene. Actually, I was like, wow, I didn't even know.
Besides Mike Myers, the only person who pulled their weight in that movie was Rami Malek.
Sure, yeah.
But I think that Christian Bale had the curse, basically, or like the benefit of being able to go up against Amy Adams, who also did an incredible performance. And
Yeah.
like when you have two great actors going against each other, you realize how good they are.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you have one person by themselves like carrying a whole film, it looks like they're doing so much more work. But then if you put them with somebody else who was carrying their weight, then you'd be like, oh, this isn't quite.
Well, and Christian Bale had a couple. He had Amy Adams, yes. He also had Sam Rockwell, kind of opposite him in some key
Steve
scenes.
Carell.
Steve Carell for a lot of that movie.
Steve Carell sadly didn't get enough credit for. I would have given him a supporting because I
think that one was just a little bit too much. I mean, just personally,
I would have given him supporting over W. Or Sam Rockwell. I thought the Sam Rockwell nomination was like the worst one because it was like I liked Sam Rockwell. I thought he nailed W, but he's like not in it enough. Like it's like nominating Tyler Perry as Colin Powell or something.
Right.
It's like it's like you definitely knew they were there, but like I don't know.
Bush was only in like 4 scenes or something like that.
Yeah.
Who was it that got nominated last year that had the same situation where they weren't in?
They do that a lot. They always like didn't Judi Dench win for like just walking by the camera in Shakespeare in Love or something like that? Like, it's like they always do that. They always give somebody a nom for like nothing. I don't know. Yeah, it was somebody last year. I forget who it was now.
Yeah, I want to say it was Best Actress or Best Supporting Actress.
It would have to be a supporting.
Oh, damn it! The movie with Nicole Kidman. There was somebody else in that movie. Oh, man.
I like that.
Never mind. I'm not even gonna try.
Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, I can't.
I think you're talking about Aquaman. It was so good it broke the time-space continuum. And Aquaman, Jason Momoa was actually nominated for Best Supporting Actor, and no one had actually seen Aquaman yet. They're like, I guess he's good. This is so weird. Why are we doing this? And like everyone just accepted it because they're so hyped for Aquaman.
I was gonna say, I think didn't Jason Momoa get nominated for Best Actor and Best Actress because of his performance in Aquaman?
I was surprised they broke the gender thing just for Jason Momoa, and he won Best Sound Mixing because the yeahs were so good. Like when he goes yeah, they thought that sounded so nice. They gave it Best Sound Mixing.
They thought the sound mixer had something to do with it, but it was just Jason doing it himself.
They actually just nominated him. They're like the sound people graciously let Jason just take that nomination. If anyone's listening and they're confused, Corey is a huge fan of Aquaman. And
Huge.
Some say
we've discussed this on the podcast. People know that I'm not.
I really want Aquaman to come on Home Entertainment so we can do a commentary.
Home Entertainment
with Corey.
Welcome to 1992.
Listen,
With your Home Entertainment.
I watched several documentaries on home box office just this weekend. So.
Oh no! Well, a lot of people call it Home Entertainment now because you can't go on demand or digital or Blu-ray or it's like confusing. So that's kind of the broad term.
Yes,
I guess.
there are many ways. Corey.
Yes. Sorry. It's
no,
I know
but
it's a lame
we've discussed
term.
this. I'm down for this. I don't know how much you guys are willing to sit with me going like, oh no, what's this now? Like,
see, I want the second viewing Corey to be like, you know what, I get it, and this is amazing.
Yeah,
you know what, I totally understand why one person sounds like they're underwater and the other person sounds like they're not underwater, even though they're both underwater.
You know what? I think James Wan, I would love to hear you talk with James Wan and be like, no, that was the point. This is ridiculous. Like even he admitted like when that Pitbull song played, he picked it because it was the most ridiculous option.
I don't think Corey gets that. It's too meta for him.
I mean, that's fine if he was like, "Hey, what's the stupidest thing I could do?" Because I was like, "Wow, that's really stupid" at the time. But
wait, like
I don't know. It's an interesting,
like the octopus playing drums, right?
It's like Trump, where it's just like he admits all his crimes, so we're just like, well, I guess he admitted it, so
but
no punishment? Or?
You thought the octopus playing drums was really stupid, right?
No, I just thought the whole fucking movie was really stupid.
Canon. Just saying.
Anyway, back to the Oscar.
Yes, back to the
Sorry,
Oscar.
Corey.
It's going to be... wait, no, it did come out last year, right? So Aquaman can't make the Oscars.
It sadly wasn't nominated, but he was there, and he did present with Helen Mirren.
Yeah, we did. So. I did see Jason Momoa at the Oscars. He was very...
very attractive.
Very dashing.
He actually brought Lisa Bonet. They never come out together, so that was...
No, and they are married, right? Like I think
they are married, which I'm like, how did you get... Lisa
Bonet.
I don't. Whatever.
Oh wait. Oh, you were going the wrong way. Oh, sorry. I was thinking the other way. Okay, my fault. Yeah.
Wait, what?
How did he get Lisa Bonet? I don't
Isn't
know
Lisa
why.
Bonet like 50
Yeah,
something now?
That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's still Lisa Bonet.
Yeah,
Well,
she's
yeah, I
like
know.
a fine wine.
Oh
man.
no, I'm
It's
not
like-
saying she's not. I'm just saying she's got like 20 something years on Jason Momoa,
Oh no,
right?
she's definitely older than Jason Momoa.
Yeah. Well, good for her.
Yes. Okay, so we've covered Best Picture. We've covered Best Actor, Best
Sort of.
Actress, kind of. I don't think there's much conversation for Mahershala Ali because everybody knew that was going to be the pick, and he deserved it.
I think everyone was like even people who don't like Green Book are like, yeah, I'm okay with. Like nobody hates that. Everybody,
Yeah.
and he's the first African American actor to have 2 Best Supporting Actor Oscars, first one ever. So, although
And-
Denzel has 2 Oscars, but those are for lead and supporting. Just in case you're going to call me on that. Or
The
anyone
short
listening
list.
to-
The short list, right? Like he's on that list of having supporting and Best Actor.
Denzel is yes,
Yeah.
Denzel is.
Regina King as Best Supporting Actress. Again, I haven't seen Beale Street.
Oh, Beale
I heard it was
Street.
good though.
You should see Beale Street. It's wonderful.
I've been wanting to see it. I was just trying to fit in all the actual nominated films before I moved on to things I missed.
It is difficult because especially like, and one thing I liked about the previous years is when there was a Star Wars movie, all the Oscar movies would kind of like spread out because
Yeah.
they're like, oh shit, we can't do Christmas, fucking Star Wars. All right, we gotta like. Only can have a few on Christmas because it's just going to destroy everything. And I noticed when there's not a Star Wars movie, they're like, "Oh, cool, let's just go back to the way we used to do things." And I sort of like this when it was a Star Wars thing. I had more time to catch up. And this year, like the awards were earlier, and there was no Star Wars movie. It was like the perfect combo. I heard more people complaining about not being able to see things this year because of that. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, Regina King was great. Her speech was wonderful.
Yes, that as well. And Chris Evans makes a step out as the best Chris of the Marvel Universe by helping her to the stage, right? I missed that part.
Also, not having creepy Christian views that helps Chris Evans. Also,
Yeah.
Also that, yeah.
take that Hemsworth.
And Brett.
No, I'm joking. It's Brett.
The
Chris Hemsworth's just like, I'm just a Protestant. It's nothing. It's nothing weird.
they're all crazy to me. All right, I don't judge. They're all crazy.
Hey, look, Ellen Page and
Chris,
I are friends.
what's your religion? I don't know. Jesus.
Thor, all right, he's Nordic. he believes in himself. But for animated feature, the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I loved. Corey, I think, was like okay with.
No, I loved it too. I rated. Pull up my movie rankings real quick.
Well, let's go to a real film critic. Jim, what did you think?
Okay,
of,
well, don't do that. Come on, Corey's still. No, but the thing with Spider-Verse that I think, I noticed there's so many because it says a lot about. We had Black Panther already this year, which crossed a lot of lines and did a lot for representation. But can you hear me? Am I coming through?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. But I think it's also that because it did a lot for anyone can wear the mask. There was that element to it,
right?
But also there's so many big older people who've covered animation history who never support the new movies. They never come out and say, "Hey, this was amazing." And for example, Leonard Maltin flat out said Spider-Verse is one of the greatest animated films of all time, and that to me was okay, wow. This is something because those guys never do this sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think the thing that I was watching Tangled with my daughter tonight.
Such a good movie.
Is that she was having a great time. Is that CG animation has been so stodgy and stuck down in these usual character designs, and we all know the Pixar look or the DreamWorks look, and it's getting boring. And animation's supposed to be able to do anything. And there's supposed to be no limits to what it can do. And Spider-Verse finally did that with CG, which we have not seen from these other studios. And even Brad Bird, who directed Incredibles 2, I've heard him, there's been rumblings that he was even I want Spider-Verse to win. I don't want to win this over Spider. Nobody wanted to beat it because there's just and it was, I think it did everything you want from Hollywood right now. It was expressive. It was weird. It had multiple different character designs, and it also was about representation, and it also introduced a new spot. It was just I don't know. I just think it's wonderful. I kind of think we'll be, and it's something you can go through 100 million times. Like the kids who are kids right now going through that movie, I'm very excited to hear like all their crazy theories when they're 14 and they've seen it 5 million times, because it's that kind of movie. And I think Sony actually regrets, has said publicly, they regret not campaigning it for other categories, because they were like, why wasn't the music up for best song? Why wasn't it up for more? Sony, nobody saw this coming and becoming what it was. Nobody realized what they had. So, but it was just like, it could be nothing else in everyone's mind. And it was, I love that movie. It's wonderful. So,
yeah, I had Into the Spider-Verse as an 8.3 for me. Mm-hmm. So that puts it in the same place as First Man, Black Klansman, what else was there?
And
Green Book.
Caveat, because Corey loves Damien Chazelle, so I think that he probably got a little bump on that First Man that maybe other people wouldn't have given it. But
I mean, I think most people who watched First Man said that it was a good flick that just had a couple little problems, and it's
it isn't a bad movie. I just think it's it just didn't. It wasn't a mainstream kind of hit. Mm-hmm. And that's I think it's important to remind people every once in a while, because people tend to forget. But like, it is so fucking impossible to really understand like what your movie is going to look like until it is done.
Unless you're making an animated film, and then you get to see 9 versions of it.
That's even can change, but
mostly what they say is that you write the film 3 times. You do it when you write it, when you shoot it, and when you edit it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know going in what it's going to look like until it's all put together. And for movies like First Man, like everyone goes into it thinking like, oh, we got a really great script. Everyone we got for crew is going to knock it out of the park. We're going to have a wonderful time. Everything's going to be perfect. And then when it's all said and done, it's going to be a Best Picture winner or something like that. But you can't go in and just plan for that sort of thing. Otherwise, you do it every single time. You just get the people who get you up. Yeah. Like it's not that easy, and it's all subjective. And I had we talked about Isle of Dogs. I liked Isle of Dogs more than I liked Into the Spider-Verse. Mm-hmm. But I think that was more of like a appreciation for craft thing that was happening with Isle of Dogs, and enjoying Wes Anderson.
The animation was unique in it. I mean, I think I know you really like Isle of Dogs. It had some issues, but I think maybe, I don't know, but I don't think it transcended as much. But it I have seen a lot of people really like it more recently. I had problems with the Japanese stuff in it, and the Kurosawa influences didn't play for me. But I understand why people like it so much, because we don't get animated films like that a lot. And on a pure technical level, it was an achievement, and it's kind of something you can't deny.
Just talking about like how they made the fur move and stuff like that.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
It's absurd the amount of work that went into that thing.
Yeah. No, I like that he makes those. Like, it takes him a while to make them, but that and Fantastic Mr. Fox, it's cool that he still does that, even though he's got a pretty promising live action career, and he doesn't really
need the stop motion.
Yeah, it's like I still like that he does that, and I think the animation was beautiful. It was just the story stuff and all that.
But I mean, like I think that goes back to sort of like what we were talking about, like when we were going through A Star Is Born, where it's like that or First Man. That movie came out, and it felt like it was greeted at the same exact time with you're inappropriately taking over somebody's culture and stuff like that. Well, and while I got where people were coming from, I also thought that it was like we were trying to figure out what we were going to be upset about that day. Well, you know what I mean? Like I get why people are upset with with parts of it, but it also felt like this was way more overblown than it should be.
I mean, I think maybe a little, but the Greta Gerwig character, like that shouldn't have. If that hadn't been in there, I think that would have changed it. But her, and it's been like a year since I've seen it, so if you've seen it, I'm sure you can defeat me with a more informed theory.
It's been the same amount of time for me.
Having like a little white girl come in and save the Japanese, I think, was maybe not the greatest look. But also, per example, and not to bring this back to Last Jedi, but having that Kurosawa influences in there were kind of lazy. And the Kurosawa influences in Last Jedi were very thought-provoking and interesting, and there's like a whole history behind them. And there's a whole lot in all of film history. Huge Kurosawa influences that change, like spaghetti westerns, and Star Wars is basically Hidden Fortress and all those things. And I know Wes Anderson knows that. And I think that was kind of the thing that held him back the most, is because he just went, we're in Japan, so Kurosawa? And you're kind of like when I was watching it, I think that's the thing that hit me the most. Is like, you know how to do this better, and you're just sort of being lazy. And I think that's kind of what hurt it for a lot of people. I think maybe people picking on it for being insensitive as well, but I think that using that influence so lazily, I think kind of didn't help him, you know.
But I mean, it's like, what do we decide that we want to be upset at? I mean, like, Vigo says the N-word at an event prior to Green Book, and it doesn't stop it from winning any awards.
Well,
but
I think Isle of Dogs, the thing with
hurts
that is
Vigo doing it, but Vigo winning. But I mean, like,
I think Isle of Dogs came out in March, maybe, if I'm
January.
correct. January, really? It came out. Well, anyway, so it came out way long ago. Incredibles 2 had already happened. I'm very disappointed in Incredibles 2, but that's a whole other thing. And then Spider-Verse happened more recently. And I think the thing with, ultimately, I don't think any of those things had anything to play with Isle of Dogs. That's more of a problems Jim had, and they don't listen to me most of the time, so or ever. But I think Spider-Verse had just happened. All that acclaim is like building. You're seeing like all these people who never like animated films liking it. And Isle of Dogs, it's like, well, Wes Anderson already had Fantastic Mr. Fox. I think that went over better. And that came out during award season. And this came out more to make money, Isle of Dogs, which is how Grand Budapest came out. And it worked for Grand Budapest. It didn't work out for Isle of Dogs this time, but different year. I mean, hey, it made money. He'll make another one because they released it in a smart way. But it didn't. That release did not work out for awards things, because it won some Annies. I think it won Best Vocal Performance for Bryan Cranston, and I think it won something else. But I know, because I didn't watch all the Annies, but I watched part of it, and I saw Bryan Cranston win, which he should have. I thought he was good in it. And it had some good performances, but I don't think it was able to break out based on that release. You know, it just wasn't regardless of.
Well, I mean, it had an uphill battle being released a year ago. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, and having like something like make everyone excited at the end of the year and surprise everybody is not going to help you. It's just not going to work out for you. You know, so.
Well, so let me ask you, before we get out, Corey, was there one category that we haven't covered that you wanted to touch on?
Yes. In fact, we haven't talked about the most important one of the whole night. To me.
Documentary short.
To me, at the very least.
Documentary short. You're right, exactly right.
Spike Lee finally gets an Oscar.
Yes, we should have talked about this already.
Yeah, we got way too caught up in Cats and
and
other
movies.
Ancillary discussions.
I feel like we talked a lot about like what didn't win or get nominated.
people tune into our annual Oscar recap to hear 25% of the show about the Oscars and 75% of us talking about whatever random bullshit comes to our mind.
They're like,
the punk rock band
it was about 25% Cats, 25% First Man. So
and 10% punk rock band.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a good split.
Hey, our punk. I don't know what the name would be, but that was part of the reason we broke up. We could never figure that out.
I know.
So
Yeah.
it was.
So wait, sorry. What were you just talking about?
Spike Lee.
Spike Lee. Yes.
So, Spike Lee winning was amazing and thrilling, and he's basically won every Oscar that isn't a competitive Oscar, because he won a Student Academy Award in like the 70s, and then he won an honorary one a couple years ago. And now it's like he needs to just give him a competitive Oscar. It was like, you know, I would have liked, even though I think Alfonso Cuarón was a better Roma was a better directed film, that's the way I should say it, than Black Klansman. I kind of wanted him to win, because if he had won, he'd be the first African American to win Best Director. And I think if you're going to do that milestone, do it with Spike Lee.
Yeah.
But they chose not to do that. But I'm still happy he got one. And him being so happy going up and reading a speech, which he kind of mumbled through, but whatever. But it was still like, you know, finally Spike Lee won. So
I did enjoy the "Don't you turn that motherfucking clock on."
Yeah. Did you hear that where you were?
It was bleeped. It was bleeped.
Okay.
I was just immediately I saw a tweet that was like, if anybody's wondering what got bleeped out, this is what he said.
Yeah, I saw.
I also just as a thing about Spike, just enjoying Spike for being Spike. I like how when Green Book won, he tried to storm out and
Yeah. I mean, I like Spike Lee on the press lines after the Oscars was wonderful. And one of the things I sort of hated about the Oscar campaign is people were like, "Oh, Spike Lee's behaving himself," and I'm like, "Whoa, let's like not phrase it that way because that's creepy." But like, because it was people say he just seemed like he wasn't really going to talk as much. He was just going to be more reserved than he is at the Knicks games and stuff. And then it seemed like when he got to the Oscars, he was like, "Yeah, I don't care anymore. This is either working out or it isn't."
Voting's over. I don't have to do anything.
I'm done.
I mean, I was surprised by the Barbra Streisand thing. Was maybe the weirdest because even though I'm half not sure if Star is Born had been presented the clip package at that point, because who remembers that? But like, when she showed up, I'm like, "Oh, it's Star is Born. That's what's going to happen."
I think it was already done before. I think Serena did it, didn't she?
Oh, Serena did. Okay, but that's But it was like, why
wouldn't you do?
That was like the first one of the night, I think. Too.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you choose her to do it though?
I think she wanted to do Black Klansman, and they were probably like, "Okay, this is weird. Let's do it." They're probably like, they're probably like hoping she would change her mind, and they're like, "Oh, damn it, we were sort of hoping Serena Williams would actually do Black Klansman."
Is it me, or did Barbra Streisand go up there and act like she'd never seen the movie before?
I mean, a little. I did like that she actually. I've noticed now that Brooklyn has money, she brings up Brooklyn a lot more because someone brought that up. Like, she never mentioned Brooklyn for like 30, 40 years. And then we got the Barclays Center and she's like, "Hey, I'm playing in Brooklyn." And we're like, "Hey, what happened, Barbara? Come on." Anyway. But I appreciate that she came out and did that for Spike Lee because I think it showed like the older institution does actually recognize him and respect him, and he's like one of the big indie filmmakers, and also he made Do the Right Thing. That's like one of the great American movies. It's just like I don't know, it's ridiculous. It still bothers me how that film was treated by the Oscars. But
to be fair though, it's not like he's done. He's got time left. He still could win another competitive Oscar.
I think he could. I don't know if it will happen. I mean, he needed the support of Jason Blum and Jordan Peele to make that happen, but which they did. I think that's also one of the things about Black Klansman that no one talks about is that those two really stuck behind him and put their weight behind him at a time when they were at their height of their powers to be like, "We're going to get this to happen to Spike Lee." The similar thing happened with, despite, I know it's creepy to bring up John Lasseter, but he supported Hayao Miyazaki and made sure Hayao Miyazaki got that Oscar. And you'll see that happen occasionally. It doesn't happen a lot. And I thought that was actually really cool. They, by the way, they didn't really try to get in there as much. They really let Spike take the spotlight, which I think was cool.
I feel bad for Rabinowitz and I can't remember the other.
Oh, the guy. I think what had happened with that.
I think they all just sort of said like, "Hey, Spike, this is yours."
Yeah.
Usually, if there's a group, from what I've heard, from like when Alexander Payne won with Jim Rash and his writing partner, whose name I always forget, when they won, they met up before, and he said, "Hey, you can have the Indie Spirit Awards is yours. You can have this one, but like the Oscars, it's really important to me. I've had this whole career." And usually people are like generous and like, "Okay, it's your moment." And I think with Spike Lee, everyone was like, just you can do it. It's fine. Like, no one wants to hear from us right now. Like, I think they just, I mean, I understand everyone wants their Oscar moment, but you still have an Oscar. You know what I mean? It's like, you're still an Oscar winner. Just like take that in stride, because Spike Lee was always, once he won, it was his moment. And I like that Sam Jackson got to give him the Oscar. As soon as I saw Sam Jackson, same with when Del Toro, I saw him with the envelope. I was like, I know what's probably going to happen. But then the switch to that is Sam Jackson had to give Green Book an Oscar, which was the look on his face. He was like, "What the fuck? What is best
what
original?
What now?
What is this?" So
Well, so you got your say about Spike Lee, Jim. Any categories that we haven't talked about that you want to mention?
One thing, did I bring up how more black women won last night than it had ever won in a ceremony before? Okay, so this is actually, I think, one of the things is like, I think maybe this is an overall thing, but I sort of hate when Green Book won one of the things I really hate about it is it took what was essentially like an actual really great ceremony and fucked it all up and ruined it. Because what you had is only 3 black women have won an Oscar that isn't an acting Oscar.
Yeah.
And 2 of those were last night.
Right.
So last night we had more black women win Academy Awards in one ceremony than has ever happened before. That should be something we should be talking about. Same with in Spider-Verse, I believe that's the first time an African-American directed animated film has ever won Best Animated Feature. I'm not sure about that, but I know that director had done previously Rise of the Guardians, and that was the first CG animated major studio film to be directed by an African-American. And those were pretty amazing things. Yeah, I would say like stuff like that is what I loved about the Oscars. Is like we had like this big thing in terms of diversity, of representation, of like Cold War was nominated for a movie that was shot in 4:3, like for cinematography. Like that's cool. Like there's a lot we can take away from this Oscars and look at like what it did and showed us about film, and like having like Black Panther win as many times as it did, and like for superhero movies, for, you know, different voices. I think it was a really successful Oscars in terms of that. It's just, I sort of hate that Green Book kind of like just like took a big shit on all of it, and now it's like it didn't happen. But you know, that's just unfortunately the way it is. But I think if I'm going to say anyone who's younger who's like upset about this, just like look at the positive, because there's usually not this much positive at an Oscars, and I think Rob and Corey would agree with me on that. Is like there usually isn't as much like, hey, these cool people won. You know what I mean? We don't get that often, and we should be appreciating that. Like that's what we should take away from it. Anyway, 100%. I know it's like and embracing the positive is lame, but like for real, that was cool that it won. Also, this is a side thing, but I wanted to bring up, there's a documentary short, and I haven't seen it, but it sounded really interesting. I think Rob would be interested. It's called At the Garden. Do you know about this?
Yeah, no, it's about the American Nazi Party at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, and like right before the Nazis invaded Poland, there's supposed to be allusions to that. Sounded really fascinating. I want to see that. Did you see that or no?
I didn't see it, but it's based on archival footage that I've actually seen in another documentary before. So I imagine that basically what they did is they took a long documentary I've seen, like a 2-hour one, and I think they built a short form documentary about just this one part of the American Nazi Party.
Okay. No, I just found that to be Unfortunately, I never get to hear much about the documentary shorts. Although the one that won is on Netflix, you guys can watch it now if you want to.
Yeah.
But the At the Garden one, found it fascinating. I just was like, when I heard that and I knew it was going to be on here, I was like, I should tell Rob about that. But of course, you've already seen like the longer director's cut. So
no. So Rudolf Hess, I think, is the guy's name, who is the head of the American Nazi Party, and I watched like a documentary on him and how he came to be a Nazi, and then he was the one who was like, you know what? We are going to make a statement. And what's the one stage you get on? You fill Madison Square Garden with 300,000 neo-Nazis, or not neo-Nazis, actual Nazis.
No, they were actual Nazis.
Yeah, 1945 Nazis. And so as part of that, they had footage. But I saw this short was nominated, and I saw kind of like what the storyline was, and I'm like, I bet this is a very interesting, given the times right now, documentary to check out. So if people can find it, I think they should.
No, they should. Yeah.
I think what would change shorts a lot is if we had some sort of better infrastructure for showing them.
Oh, 100%.
I think you know, maybe Netflix might be the place that like sort of starts jumping in on that, where they can just buy these shorts for, you know, obviously way less than you would pay for, you know, the big winner out of Sundance kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is about those shorts is also that, you know, they only play at certain theaters, and even then they don't have a lot of show times, and documentary short plays like once a day usually. Yeah. So like you're getting to like the obscure of the obscure here. And I think it should be a separate, but if you're going to include it, like, let's at least have a YouTube, just go like, because I know so many people when the short categories play and I'm at an Oscar party, everyone's like, oh, I'd love to see those shorts. And they never do. But it's because it's really hard to, you know?
Yeah.
And so there should be a thing we go to youtube.com/Oscar shorts, and you can watch them all right now. And I guarantee you, like, maybe 10% of those people would, but that's still eyes on these shorts and helping these filmmakers. I think that would be something that would be good.
so many filmmakers get their start in shorts too,
Yeah.
and being able to see somebody who's coming up before they get to the big stage is a great, like, just being able to say, like, hey, go to Oscars.com and watch all these shorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
And
we live in Los Angeles, the home of the American film industry, and the Regal had them for maybe a week in the evening, and then it went to like the 3 p.m. show, and I'm like, what do you want me to do? Like, if I miss, you didn't announce it, and if I miss it that it's there, then I gotta leave in the middle of my workday to go see. These things.
It's just like not taken care of very well, and that I've been arguing this like for so long. There's just be like, just make a thing on your stupid website, like just like make it available to us, because there's no way you're making that much money off of these presentations. Like, I refuse to believe you're making that much off of it. It probably costs you more to do to actually
call me. I can help you make money on YouTube off of it. We'll put some ads on it. We'll do the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think people would be fine with watching an ad or something to watch. I mean, maybe some of them are inappropriate and guideline things, and they could work that out. But I think they need to figure that out, because it's something that, like, the interest is there, but they're not fostering it.
Yeah.
And it's holding back your show. And it's like you have to come up with one or the other. And it's just like this, like, weird, indecisive, only theater crap is not helping anyone.
I had one other thing I just thought of that I wanted to get out before we got out.
Okay.
It's not a huge point. It's just a little thing. It seemed like the Academy was a little bit more on top of giving you little factoids as people were walking up the stage, beyond the just like, you know, Lady Gaga is also nominated for Best Actress tonight. Like, it seemed like there was more like, you know, this is the first time since 1963 that this award has been, you know, like that sort of thing. I think there should be more. Watching people walk up to stage is so fucking boring.
Yeah.
And I think if they could just preload like 5 facts for every winner, where they could just give me a whole bunch of information.
Or
just
have
even
them
say
below.
things like, you know, like former winners of best cinematography include.
Some of the factoids weren't about the person; it was about the award itself. It's like, this award has been given out since the original Academy Awards in 1938.
I noticed they were doing some of that, but they should have done. Each of those categories have interesting factoids about them, and they could go like, you know, like they should have, like, how come we didn't know Mahershala Ali was the second African American to win? Like, I found that out on Twitter like this morning. Like, no one was saying that, and it's like, you should have said that, and people would have been like, oh, now I suddenly care a little bit more. You know what I mean? It's like, or only like this many actors have won 2 Best Supporting Actors, you know, and Christoph Waltz is one of them, and like something like that. Like, I agree with you about that, Corey. It's like they need to have more Oscar history stuff, because that's like stuff people would be interested in. People like little factoids like that, and that would help make the show interesting and fun.
Well, not only that, but people who want to talk about movies, I feel like at a certain point come up against somebody like you, not to, you know, like put you on the pedestal or whatnot, but it's just like, you know, if they say something like, you know, like, well, I think that, you know, Kurosawa was good, but he wasn't our best, and then you can list off 15 different things that he did, and then that person's over their head. They're just like, all I knew was his name.
If I make films, I'll make films like Kurosawa. Make mad films. Oh, I don't make films. But if I did, they'd have a samurai.
Oh my god.
Oh, come on, that was a deep pull. I didn't even remember the verse, but I put it together.
I liked. Sure.
No, but I'm saying
some
like,
bare
you know,
naked ladies.
Yeah.
If somebody had the opportunity to learn a little something that they could parrot back in like a conversation, like, hey, did you know that Mahershala Ali is the only person to win 2?
That's supporting actor?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I think that would be really good for the Oscars. I think that's the thing, is like the Oscars need to embrace what they are, and I think last night they did in terms of just being the awards. You know, it's like, and not having like, you know, Ellen take a selfie with people. It's just like that. Even though I thought Ellen did a better job of the recent host, but I still think like the way they need to fully just get into, like, because there's no real big movie things every year. It's sort of just the Oscars. So it's like, embrace, like, when I watch, like, I don't watch a lot of the sports ball, but like when I've seen the Super Bowl and stuff, they're like throwing out facts like it's like nobody's business, and it's like, let's embrace this, you know.
If this game was to end right now, it would have the same score as the 1977 Super Bowl. Like,
exactly.
It's the second quarter. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Like
having this
handy.
if you get some of these people who like Kyle Buchanan from the New York Times is one of the best Oscar pundits around, like get him involved, like get these people involved because they would love. Everyone wants a good Oscars who works in the industry. Like we're not against it. Just like call on these good people and like we'll get a good show again. You know, I think.
And also, the more things like I used to like when they used to do like the screenwriting awards, and you would see what was actually written, like on a dual screen thing where it's like the page on one side and like the action on the screen on the other.
Yeah.
When I first saw that as a kid, I was like, oh, I want to do. Like, there's a document that makes them do all this stuff. Like, that's something I would like to do.
You should follow Script to Screen
on
Instagram.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's the same thing that they used to do at the Oscars, and they don't do it anymore. And I wish.
Yeah,
they would,
I noticed they don't do that. Apparently, I know they got criticism because I think there's a few times they like made prop scripts because like sometimes people improv things and stuff.
Yeah,
So
the
they
script
had
doesn't
to-
actually match what they shot.
I
so.
mean,
No, the
technically-
script does match what they show, but they made a script to match what was going on screen.
Yeah,
is basically what
so
I've heard they've done that. But I agree. Sorry, I'm deviating. But what Corey's saying, they should do that because it shows people how that is done, and that is the good thing. And I'm just saying that's the technical aspect of how they had to do it.
Yeah,
in
we
terms of
we
presenting.
got an email not too long ago from Stage 32 about downloading all the Oscar-nominated scripts.
Yeah.
And if you go in and look at that, that won't be the original script that they like went to set day one with.
No.
That'll be the sort
Transcript.
of retyped based off of what happened on the actual movie
Oh, really?
version of it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
I mean,
Yeah.
I prefer to get like the first version
I mean,
script.
every
but-
once in a while you'll see some like extra scenes that they like put in the script that didn't actually make it. But it's usually like one of those last things that got cut kind of things.
See, I hate those. I prefer the first version scripts because, like, as I'm writing, I like the inspiration of like, all right, let me read the first version of Moonlight. Like, oh, all right,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
you can
not
see
great.
where it wasn't. Yeah, wasn't working.
Actually, I can say that when I was a kid, my parents wouldn't let me see certain movies. Like I couldn't see Pulp Fiction, but they were like, "But you can take the script out from the library."
Right.
And so I actually saw Pulp Fiction first. I read the script first. I didn't see the movie first.
That's
So
good.
like
I mean-
same with like Fargo and like there's a bunch of. I mean, I was not really cool, but but like that's how there's a bunch of movies like that were R-rated that I wasn't allowed to see yet, but I was like, but my parents were like, I mean, he's reading, I don't care, and so like that was like literally the quote, but I learned a lot from reading those scripts, and they don't publish them as much, and so I do think like once you look at screenplay format and stuff, it can help people. So there's a lot to be learned from reading scripts.
Yeah.
I will say, speaking of that, the one thing that I continue to maintain this year after the Oscars that I have for the last 4 or 5 years after the Oscars is that I will not be attending an Oscar celebration until I am nominated for one. That's where I draw
mean-
my hard line in the sand.
Oh, you wouldn't like present?
No, I don't want
think
to
you're
go
enough of a
unless I'm being
showboat.
nominated.
You're enough of a showboat to present. Come on. You
Yeah,
could
but
do it.
again, I will do that every year after you nominate me the first time. But the first time I go, I will be because I'm nominated, and they'll be like, "Yo, you've never been here before." Like, yeah, I never got an invite before because the
I feel
nomination,
like-
that's the invite.
I feel like if they were like, "Here's the swag bag," you'd be like, there'd be like a dust cloud because you were already there.
Now, first of all, I would donate the swag.
Can we
bag,
just
so.
get him a Thalberg already so we can move on with this whole preposterous exercise?
All I'm saying is, I want my Oscar moment of getting up there on stage and being like, "Thank you for acknowledging, Mom. I know you said I was never going to get it done, but there you go. There's an Oscar. Hey, so open for podcasts. Just let me know. I'd love to be on all your podcasts. Also, not a working writer yet. So
Wait,
if
I'm
anybody
sorry.
wants-
Well, I'm sorry. Are you going to win an Oscar and try to get on podcasts?
Yes,
while you win this Oscar?
100%. I'm going to look over.
This is your game plan. Is to be like, guys, I want to be on. Like, is this like your big plan to get on Mark Maron? Is
Exactly.
just be.
Exactly.
Speaking of other places Rob won't go, OTheAnthem.com, Corey at OTheAnthem.com, O The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line, 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595. Jim, do you want to take the lead?
Oh, what do you mean? Oh, and say my stuff? Sorry.
Yes, say your stuff.
Hi, I'm Jim. I'm on...
Pleasure to meet you, Jim.
I'm primarily on YouTube. My name's Jim Gisriel. I'm right there. Oh, Corey made a nice little card there. Okay. That's my Twitter as well. It has 2 M's because some other jerk took Jim for us. And I'm also on TV on Brooklyn Free Speech 2 on the first and third Friday of every month. At 9 p.m. Eastern, but you can watch that on the live stream. I'm on Tumblr, but no one's there anymore, so if you want to do that. And then I'm on Instagram, and I have mainly pictures of me and my daughter, and it's super cute. So that's what it is. But mainly just subscribe to my YouTube.
Yeah.
And also, I'm sorry. Also, if you're listening, this is your first O The Anthem. Don't make this your last O The Anthem. Subscribe to O The Anthem. Download the podcast. I obviously have known these guys for a while, but I also am a fan of this podcast, and you should be a fan of it too. I really like them, so please do that.
Thank you, Jim.
No problem.
You can find more of me at my website, CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com.
Which you should also check out.
Yeah.
Sorry.
At LegendsCV5 on Twitter and Instagram. And Corey Baker Film on Facebook. The new review for The Favorite will be coming out on Thursday. It's already been recorded, getting edited, and all that good stuff. So check it out then, because I was able to see all the Oscar contenders.
Okay, guys, I just have to point out again. I know I point out to Corey all the time. Jim, just listen closely. You need to be branded the same across everything. Like if you look down below here.
Look. I agree with that. But I'm not going to have the M on every... Look, the dentist who has Jim Force and I have beef. I don't want to get into it. But like, you know, it just, you know, it works. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Sure,
all of it goes to everything anyway. Like every time I post anything, it goes to like all the things. So it's like...
Feeds out.
Yeah.
Well, of course, you can find me on all your social networks at Robert N. Cheek, cross-branded everywhere the same. Make sure you check out robertncheek.com, where you can find links to my political blog, the news website, and the books, which are available on Amazon.
Buy Rod's books.
Thank you. I still haven't gotten Corey the back of the cover.
Yeah, the author blurb.
Yeah, as soon as I do that, new book coming out very soon. I just have to do that very little thing, and then we'll have it coming out. So.
Okay, cool.
Well, I think we've done good here today.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good.
Only Jim's done good.
I don't know about that, but thank you.
But before we close out, Jim, thank you again for joining us. You're a fantastic guest as always.
Thank you for having me. You guys are always nice to have me.
And we're gonna have to figure out how to do the Aquaman.
Honestly, I think this setup,
watching along.
Yeah, we should do it. It has to happen.
This setup may work, and actually, I might be able to get another webcam, shine it on the TV, flip the image of that camera, and that way we can actually
as
live
like a
stream
reference.
It. Yeah, so people can actually watch it while we go along, and we won't get a content claim because it'll be reversed and far
by the
away
way,
from the screen.
that never works. That never works, Rob. Don't.
Yeah, listen, I'm in the industry. I'm telling you how to beat it.
Why do we put a piece of like glass in front of the TV?
You do. Yeah, you just have to break up the heat. You have to break up the heat map. YouTube uses heat maps.
They find ways, man. It's
yeah. You know how they find ways? I have a staff of 70 that sits there at their computers all day just searching for stuff.
Oh my God.
You know how they find out? Snitches. You know what snitches get? Stitches.
But as always, you're listening to the O The Anthem podcast, part of the O The Anthem digital network. For Corey. Wait, camera. There we go. And Jim.
Hey.
This is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
Peace.
Now to prepare for the 2020 Oscars.
Oh, God. Come on, cats. Come on,
Come on, cats. Come on, cats.